creating any anxiety for you, Kate?
I feel great about it. There it is. Okay. And we're live. It is Saturday, April 17th, 5:03 p.m. And it is a historic Saturday, just a Saturday for In Lieu of Fun show. We are joined officially by Scott Shapiro for the co-host day, basically, which should be about as fun as, or not fun, as you can imagine. I'm personally very happy. This is great. I'm excited to see how everything plays out.
Yeah, it'll be great to see how Scott fucks up the show and destroys everything we've built. How long it takes him.
Everything we've built, because this was such a purposeful exercise.
Yes,
from the get-go, Ben.
There is nothing Kate and Ben can assemble that Scott cannot take a sledgehammer to.
I really hope so. Maybe then I can start doing other things at 5 o'clock, eating dinner.
You joke, but that's literally my hugest fear.
I know, that's why I'm pushing on that button, Scott.
Because I really am scared. I'm not scared.
I am the opposite of scared about that.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Yeah. Well, cheers, guys. I have a weird rainbow beer.
Wow.
I have another really important announcement to make today that has to do with Scott's first invitation to somebody to appear on the show. Because it is Saturday and we're going to plan the show, I thought it was only appropriate for the first person Scott we invite on the show to appear with Scott, that it be Rick Grinnell. And so I am tweeting at Rick Grinnell right now. Hey, Rick Grinnell, you are invited.
I feel like this is dog that catches the car. What if he says yes?
Oh, that would be fun.
Talk about destroying the show.
Oh my God.
I mean, really, what would I even say to him?
That we're going to find out. To discuss important
Can I ask a really important question here?
Intelligence and the respective.
I like the sound effects that Ben is producing while typing his email, his tweet, literally pounding at his keyboard. That's produced. We do that on purpose.
So I have now tweeted at Rick Grinnell. You should all retweet it with your added comments.
I love how rule following Scott is. He sits up and immediately just gets
it's an opportunity to troll Rick Grinnell. He's not going to pass that up.
Right. But you don't understand. Ben told me there are all these rules. So for example, apparently since I'm the new guy, I have to take minutes.
That's right.
Oh God, is this the hazing?
I have to take minutes. So I have to say they're corporate minutes. So it's not a big thing, but when it starts, when it ends, how many people,
and also, you do if somebody knocks on the door, it's the new justice, the junior justice has to get up and answer the door if somebody knocks
you're the
on
baby
it
justice,
during
Scott.
Conference. But this is hard because if somebody knocks on my door, I'm 235 miles away from you, and Kate is 6 miles away, and so there's a lot of running around.
Well, you know what? The thing is, with rights come responsibilities. I mean, you don't just get this.
And great power. Well,
that's also. Do you know when I'm sorry. I feel can I say something? I don't know what the rules are.
You'll get used to it. There's no rules. It's
okay.
It's all norms. Scott.
Okay, it's all norms. Just say, when I started teaching, the rule really was the new guy, whoever it was, had to take the minutes.
That's how it was for me too. I was for my first year in faculty meetings, I rotated with the one other junior faculty member who kept the minutes.
Yeah, and so when it's crazy. Yeah, it's actually.
And it turns out I suck at it. That's a shocker. But like,
I sucked at it too. Like I sent out my first minutes that I sent out got criticized by, I remember, Melvina Halberstam. And then after that, I decided I'm not doing it anymore. So now, really, I just was like, screw you. Like, I don't need this shit. And so when Stanley Fish, we had to vote on Stanley Fish, whether Stanley Fish would get an appointment. I said that I would only vote for him if he had to take the minutes, which was a ballsy thing to do I was in my first year, I said. Yeah.
But
so.
like, it's an actual weird thing to take minutes in a faculty meeting that you're completely foreign to and that you have no idea what is important or significant at all. And so you overcompensate and write down everything.
Take the sort of subtext, the minutes of the subtext of the meeting.
I literally was like,
Professor so-and-so made a passive aggressive gesture at Professor so-and-so, who responded with the sort of condescending look that has garnered him her anger over 20 years of
so the worst part was
neglect of each other.
There were a lot of people who just like, I had my job talk day where, you go and you meet people and you meet so many people and you're talking all day and you're interviewing for hours and hours. And so you're just trying to keep your energy up and not be completely put your foot in your mouth. And I didn't remember anybody that was not on the hiring committee, really, or like that hadn't reached out to me. And then I just started. And so I walked into this meeting and I was going to do this very diligent job of keeping notes. And quickly I realized I had no idea who was talking. Like, I had no idea who any of these people were, because a bunch of them didn't have photos up on the faculty bio page. And so like, I was like, well, I'm just not going to be able to like keep track of like third white guy talks.
Why don't they just record the meetings?
What? I don't know. It's just like, they're very
every
faculty is its own thing.
Oh, you can't record meetings because
you absolutely couldn't do that. Be like,
I mean, I'm sure crazy things are said at the staff meetings at lawfare and things like that, but you like the range of idiocy said at a faculty meeting.
When people have no threat of really losing their jobs is astounding. Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable.
My first week at the Washington Post editorial page had a quality that was a little bit like this. So when
it's balance and academic freedom. I would feel like the Washington Post would also be like that.
So when I showed up at the editorial page, I was 25 years younger, 15 years younger than the next youngest person. And the oldest person on the page was 65 years older than I was. It was Herb Block, and he was still alive and tottering in every day and drawing cartoons. And there was a lot of reminiscing about the Johnson administration on a sort of daily basis.
I thought that was going to go in a completely different direction.
It was just, you would actually have sentences, well, when Lyndon said this, and McGeorge responded, Mr. President, go fuck yourself. That's it. And there was just this accumulated detritus of enormous number of years of people working together, that nobody ever thought to explain because it was just the color of the wallpaper. And so I remember the time I really realized this was like I had to ask somebody to kind of walk me through it was so the first day everybody at 10:30 would pick up their pile of newspapers, which would be delivered to their office in the morning, and walk into the editorial conference room, put down their pile of newspapers, and keep reading them without talking to each other until Meg Greenfield walked in. And Meg was quite sick with cancer that she eventually died of. And so I just assumed it was like, a ritual out of respect for Meg's, deteriorating condition. But okay, so on Tuesday, 10:25, people pick up their newspapers and walk into the conference room and keep reading them, don't talk to each other, and eventually Meg comes in and we have the morning meeting. And so on Wednesday at like 10:25, I'm like, I've figured out the formula. I pick up my newspapers, go into the conference room and start reading, and nobody shows up. And so, it's about 15 minutes later now, and no one's come in, and I'm reading my newspaper, and Bob Asher walks by and looks in the room like there's something out of place, and it's you, it's me. What are you doing? And I said, I'm just here for the morning meeting. And he looked at me like I was, had 3 heads and said, it's Wednesday. And then walked away. And it turns out, for reasons that I was never able to pin down, there was some historic edict, in the Pleistocene era or whatever, that the editorial board did not meet on Wednesdays.
Wow.
So
that's actually, I love that story. That is I love cultures and workplaces. The
27-year-old idiot sitting there alone in a room reading the newspaper.
a stack of them, right. Yeah. Now everyone's just like scrolling their phones. It's has less of a kind of historical weight to it.
Especially because you don't carry them like it's a sort of a gesture in life.
Okay, we have lots of great questions to get through. I also want to talk about, I'm going to screen share for a second. I also want to talk about this picture that I screen capped, I think from episode 128, where Scott came back on. I just want to note our various, why do you suck, Crowdcast, when it comes to screen sharing? Anyways, it won't let me screen share preview for some reason.
What are you trying to...
It's just the picture of it's just the still of our thing. And Scott looks exactly the same, and he's wearing a white shirt instead of a black t-shirt, and he's in front of his wallpaper. My hair is this short, not ponytailable at all. And Ben, you're wearing one of you look pretty much the same.
I'm wearing a Young Studios shirt.
Your Young Studios shirt, and you have the microphone that you used to occasionally hold. Yeah. And then it used to be a sofa, and now the sofa has been replaced by hammock. And so,
although the sofa's still there.
Oh, you just moved it?
Yeah, you can see it there.
So anyways, it was just I just thought it was I don't know.
Reminiscing.
Well, there's just this very strange nostalgia around the show, of which there's I can't believe this is the second April 17th in my life that I've spent an hour doing this.
Yeah.
I will just say, can I make a kind of outsider fly on the wall type
You're
observation?
not an outsider anymore.
Yeah, you're inside.
Again, so I just want to say this has a totally different feeling than when you're the guest. I literally just feels like I'm talking to on a Zoom call, talking to 2 friends as opposed to being on the show.
So
maybe because we're not directing questions to you.
Yeah, so this is super.
I guess that's right. Maybe I'm also because I'm being boring. I don't know.
No. I just I actually love it, and I love that you said that, because one of the things that I think is super interesting is that there is, and I've always felt this way. I'm there is a level in which I'm conscious of what I'm not doing or saying something that will embarrass my family or ruin my career or throw me into some controversy while I'm on the show. But generally, I'm pretty much just kind of act like I would normally act if I was at a cocktail party with Ben, and I would tell a story, I would tell a cocktail party story with Ben. And of course, there's thousands of people listening, but I do trust to kind of the friction of video that except for the couple of people listening, most people aren't going to go back and look at all of the things that I say or call me on it. And so it kind of memory holes it in a way. But then the memory hole is also reviewable. It's not actually memory hole. It's it's using a card catalog instead of having Google search or something. It's kind of
right.
You can go look it up if you want to, but you'd have to go to the exact minute and watch through all the minutes to try to find out which one it was. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. It's it's only when they're doing Oppo research that it's reviewable, but otherwise it's ephemeral.
Yeah. Right. So how do we want to plan the show this week, guys?
Well, we have a few people. I think we should explain the logistics of integrating Scott as a preliminary matter.
Okay,
so
go ahead.
People can. Scott, do you want to do that, or should I?
I will never stand in the way of procedure.
Wait, logistics? I'm sorry. I mean,
day of the week.
Yeah. So I wrote it down. The logistics are, I have it on my phone.
A PowerPoint?
I was going to prepare a PowerPoint, but I thought that would. I really was. I actually
bar you from sharing it anyways.
Exactly. I just thought that's a guest thing to do, and since I'm segueing into host, I just thought. So I have a whole list of things that I'm planning. So I'm going to host on Tuesday, and that's all I have. So
there's a few more elements to this. In the course of discussing with Scott how to do this, Scott pointed out that he should have a co-host.
Right.
So we decided that Scott would at some point pick a co-host for his day, Tuesday, that person would be female, thus keeping with the precedent that each day is hosted by a
male and female.
At least for I suppose if we want to disrupt it with genderqueer people, that they're. But
I would say male and non-male.
Yeah, there we go.
I would say if we choose a new host who is male, that person should have a female or non-male co-host. If we choose a person who's female, the point is gender diversity.
Yes.
So eventually Scott will choose a co-host. In the meantime, Kate and I will alternate weeks co-hosting with Scott, starting this week with Kate. But Scott will be the lead host on his days and will pick the guests, save this week where Kate had already invited the estimable Jamil Jaffer of the Knight Center at Columbia to come back. So I
just feel like basically like this is both introducing me like as a host, but also I feel like it's a bit of trying to marry me off.
Oh yeah, well, there's definitely a reality show.
Like you're trying to find some.
Maybe we should stage it like the Bachelor.
I would totally do that. I would totally.
Would be great.
Who will get my rose? I would totally do that.
Okay, I think that's what we should do. That'll be like we'll put forward nominations or something every like Saturday, and there will be more contestants, and then people will be like, "No, thank you." It'll be the opposite of the Bachelor.
We're going to have them voted down.
Where they all say no.
We can ask. We can ask the audience about each guest whether they should host Scott.
That could be dangerous really fast. That was kind of like when Ben had like a habit of like in creating a poll of the day of being like, was this is this person great? Should we have this person back on again? And I was like, they can see the poll, Ben. Like stop doing that.
I only did it when I knew the person would get a validating vote. But it did make Kate anxious.
It made me very anxious.
In a way that the blue go live button does not.
Doesn't make me anxious. It's so true.
Yes, God, I'm laughing I am so sociopathic and do not mind making people uncomfortable, but really, YouTube
really
blue
mind.
Buttons scare the shit out of me. Whereas Kate is actually a human being and is not intimidated by technology, but like offending people bothers her. All right, so that is the story. We have...
okay, so let's quickly... So we have Charlie Warzel on Monday.
Wait, we have a mystery guest tomorrow. Whose week is it?
It's yours.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because you brought Nate Pursley last week, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll bring Taylor Swift for tomorrow.
And then also we should maybe put Scott into the mystery week phone, like in lieu of fun.
Yeah.
No, yeah. That sounds great.
Yeah,
let's plan that out for 3 weeks from now. Maybe that'll be your debut kind of
mystery guest on Sunday.
Well, debut like solo hosting. Solo host, or not solo hosting, but you can pick one. One of us will co-host with you, and you pick the mystery guest, and you captain from the tech side.
A mystery host, mystery guest.
That's good. I like that. Okay,
Yeah.
we will. Okay, so we will do. We will do. Yeah. Well, this is interesting because I hadn't thought about this. Does this mean that? Well, I guess. Well, does this mean that the mystery guest Sunday is going to be all three of us, or is it going to be still going to be default me and Ben? Just me and Ben, and then.
Do you want to be in the mystery guest rotation?
I'm the junior justice.
I figure let's just start.
I don't
let's
really
just start
have
it.
Yeah,
I don't have it. I don't think I have a say in this.
All right.
Okay.
So
let's just start it, and then we can just Sundays can be optional.
We can.
One of us will show up.
Remove you from the rotation and humiliate you in public about it.
This is great. I can get pulled.
Stop
I can
it.
fail. Yeah, I can fail at yet one more thing.
That's
This
right.
is
I
awesome.
think that's right.
Be nice to our new co-host.
Yeah.
Okay.
He
You're
loves
making me
it.
anxious. Okay. There's so we have mystery guest
Thomas
tomorrow.
has it right here. Have a poll on whether Scott should be leave it up to the audience.
No.
No.
I'm not
See,
agreeable.
that's
No,
yeah,
that's not.
Yeah.
It's core thing. We're not doing things where people can be rejected from something. Those are things that we decide ourselves.
See, but they're totally going to vote for him. This is a power conferring vote. As Scott
I'm not going
would
to
say.
taint all of your polls. You cannot just
See what I
use
did there,
the poll.
Scott?
No, I know. I was just going to say, thank you, Ben, for speaking my language.
I tried, by the way, in Scott's honor to try to do a trolley problem of the day. I got one done. They're hard.
They're really hard.
I'm not going to continue this feature.
It's actually a very hard thing.
I'm not going to put the Scott thing up for a vote. I'm taking the captain privileges today, so I control the poll function. But also, don't taint the poll with only taking polls when you know what the answers are going to be. It taints the entire poll function, Ben. It taints all of our ends. So
because it's really the polls are suggested really in earnest. When I
use them in earnest, I like them.
Yeah, sometimes we do, but sometimes they are K and B push polls.
That is true. Okay, Charlie Warzel of the New York Times, formerly of the New York Times, he just left the New York Times and is starting a Substack. And so in our grand tradition of inviting people on the show when they start their Substack, Charlie's coming on to talk about why he's doing a Substack and on a Domstack.
Yeah, and we're gonna totally have him dish on the New York Times. It's going to be great.
Yeah, but he's lovely. And then Jamil Jaffer on Tuesday. But who do we want? Anything for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, guys?
Well, I'm still working on Michael Steele, who I'm going to tweet at again.
Okay. I don't know that I have any idea what I'll say to Michael Steele.
By the way, I am getting DM'd from people who are not watching the show right now, appalled that we invited Rick Grinnell on. One person just texted me, "Ugh, no."
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
There's people take you seriously.
This is Ben's Anglo-Saxon turn.
All right, let's tweet at Michael Steele. Hey, Michael.
Well, I mean,
Steele.
the question is I would ask Michael Steele. This is my question. I would ask him are you unbelievably embarrassed that you were the head of the RNC, given what it's become? I mean, it's
Ben, you're muted. Weirdly.
It's a super interesting question to ask him, and he's very thoughtful on it. I like Michael. I know him from MSNBC Green Room stuff, and he's a thoughtful and interesting guy. And I would love to have him on the show. He's been an audience request for a while, so let's get another invitation out to him. In fact, this one I'm gonna do by DM, I think, because I'm not sure he sees when I.
Scott, any thoughts on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? Anyone you want to have on?
Well,
you could also switch off of Tuesday if you don't want to do Tuesday. Then, like, you want to have someone else on and do it with one of us later in the week.
Yes, I would just say I interviewed Jamil. Like,
oh really?
Yeah, he's a great guy. I mean, what a hero. But I already asked him my set of questions, so I feel like I would just re-asking it again. So, but you know what the thing is? He's like that classic great guy, great person.
Yeah,
he's just a great person.
I love Jim. You know, fun fact, I think I've mentioned this in the show before, but fun fact, his wife, who is a professor now at Brooklyn, but was a Seton Hall in criminal law, taught me criminal procedure at Georgetown. She was doing her visit. Alice Ristroff. She is brilliant. We should also have her on at some point. It would be super fun. But she is incredibly brilliant, wrote a really amazing piece about applying the feminist standards of rape to prison treatment to find torture, basically. Like, I don't know. It was a really great piece. Anyway, ahead of its time, almost, frankly. But she's brilliant. Do we want to, okay, so we have Michael Steele we're working on for the end of the week. I have my friend that I would like to have on for a while, Liz Baraf-Bonowitz, who is a cognitive psychologist at Harvard now, and who I recently retweeted because she wrote an version of Madonna's Material Girl called Empirical Girl. That she is also she's actually also she's kind of like Ben, like she's super geeky and everything else, but she has like weird, incredible music abilities. Like she can sit down at a piano and just like play anything and sing, and has like perfect pitch, and I like don't even know, but anyway, so she's kind of great and brilliant. She did her PhD at MIT with a bunch of my friends, and so anyways, I was thinking she would be fun. She does child psychology. She's super interesting. Or child cognitive psychology. You want to do her?
I have an outstanding invitation to Chris Krebs, who couldn't do last week, but who says we're working to nail down a day.
I would. That would be pretty amazing.
Do you want to interview Chris Krebs? You can take my spot for that. You would probably be better at it than me.
Yeah, well, I don't. That impossible, but that would be really cool. You know who I thought would be really great? My colleague Gideon Yaffe.
Gideon Yaffe. Oh my gosh, could we do him for next Tuesday? I've asked him to come on the show already. You know that Gideon was like, I love him.
Oh, because Gideon is the best. So Ben, Gideon is. He's a philosopher, but he took off a year and he went to law school, and he's just like a genius. He's just like crazy genius, and like the nicest person.
So kind and normal. Like you would literally meet him on the street and like never know that he was like just this brilliant like neuro philosopher, basically.
Yes. And he does like how neuroscience matters for questions of legal responsibility. That's one of the things he does, and we're working together with the computer science department on we're crashing self-driving cars. It was actually, I'm so excited about this. Like we just submitted an NSF grant for trying to figure out when self-driving cars crash. What am I looking at? I looked away and I looked back and I just camel.
We're looking at an awesomely decoratively groomed camel, which I just found on Twitter while I was trying to invite Michael Steele and Chris Krebs. and I just thought it was so beautiful that
Wow.
you all needed to see it. So
Yeah, that is really cool.
Share the camel.
But
Okay.
wait, Sue, I didn't know that you and Gideon were working together.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, I roped him into it. But
With this, you're crashing autonomous automatic driving cars.
So it turns out, I mean, I don't know, like if we want to get just, I'll say something boring for 20 seconds, though it's incredibly interesting. So the thing is, they have these autonomous vehicles, a lot of autonomous things, autonomous traders, autonomous weapons. And the big question they have is, when accidents happen, how do we assess responsibility? And
there are many really interesting elements to those questions. So like the roboticists will say, so these self-driving cars might have much lower rates of accidents than human drivers, but they will fail in fashions that no human driver would fail. And so if they were in wide circulation, you would have people who die who wouldn't die in a human driving condition, which raises really interesting liability questions.
Well, foreseeability questions
if they're
in liability.
In the aggregate much safer than other systems.
No, that's exactly right. So like we were talking with the computer science people, we were talking, where is the intention in this code? How do we say that the intent, like this car made the choice to turn? Like, where exactly is it? And so Gideon is just like unbelievably smart and intelligent and great. And
let's definitely have him on.
Yeah,
so the other question is, what news is happening this week that we should respond to? Is there any?
Oh shit! There's the oversight board decision.
The oversight
coming
board,
down.
Right?
I don't know.
Well,
and I can. Yeah, I know. We can just talk about that. What day is that?
What day it is?
Wednesday. So I guess I should pencil in on our calendar like that's going to be a Facebook oversight board day. I mean, it's supposed to, but interestingly, the bylaws say, except in extreme circumstances, the board will issue a decision within 90 days. And so the fact that they received 9,000 outside comments from individuals in making this decision, they might use as kind of an extreme circumstance in order to delay the decision. But let's do that for Wednesday. And I don't know who we'll have on. I mean, I don't think Jamal will come on if he wants to talk about it then, but I don't know that he will. I don't know. We'll have to talk, but maybe we have Evelyn on to talk about it if she'll be willing to come on.
Let's just play that by ear and plan to, if we have to bump whatever's going on that day.
Sure. But that's the only news that I think is that I know about, because I pay attention to nothing.
Well, there's also, Navalny's likely to die at some point this week.
Wait, what? He's sick?
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. He's been very sick, moved to a hospital. He's in quite grave condition.
Really?
Yes.
Alina? Do we want Alina to come on?
That may be a good idea.
She's got kids, but like if she's willing to do it, that would be great.
Or Alex.
Or Alex. Yeah, Binman.
Or Ann Applebaum. I mean, we've got an embarrassment of riches on the Russia front.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Okay, I feel good about that. I'm going to start asking. I can start bringing people in for questions.
Yeah.
Okay. I like some of these. These are great. I have no idea. Hello, Daniel.
Hello.
I thought you were wearing a Fozzie the Bear costume for a second. Like that jacket is like very I don't know, it looks very soft and oversized. Would you like to ask your question, dear Daniel?
Yes. Scott, what was your favorite, oh my gosh, Trump is a total idiot moment?
I want to open that up to Ben too, but first Scott.
That is just that is such a good question, and it is an embarrassment of riches. I mean, I do remember when he came down the escalator and like started speaking about Mexicans and not sending their best. And I just like that to me. I mean, that was like, I mean, everyone that I was with, we couldn't stop laughing. We couldn't stop sharing the things. And of course, that really obviously turned south. But I would say like there really is only one answer to this ultimately, which is ejecting the bleach. I mean, watching it just like there's just, you know, injecting the bleach. Maybe somebody can look into that, you know, when he said that. That's just, I mean, one does not get more idiotic than that. That is my vote.
My favorite Trump, but I mean, look, objectively, I agree that the point at which the president is talking about injecting bleach, it's just objectively in a different, you know, league than everything else. But it's not my personal favorite. My personal favorite, the one that I sometimes just replay just to hear him say it, is when he says, as though he's like just discovered it and it's kind of a secret and he doesn't want you to know about it, but he's excited about it and he wants you to know. He says, and then there's this thing called Article 2, which says that I can do whatever I want, but I don't talk about that.
That's gorgeous. Yeah,
I just think that one is it's just mind blowing. And the thing is, the more you think about it, the worse it gets.
Yeah, I mean that is just that. What about you, Kate?
Oh, I guess like there's probably 500,000 that I'm forgetting. Ben, the other day, I don't remember who it was, but we were talking about this, and someone said that he lost me when he said that people from Mexican were rapists. And I was like, and Ben was like, the very beginning of his campaign. I was like, no, that was like 6 months in. And Ben was like, no, that was like the very beginning. And I just was like, what a time warp my brain has been in to kind of like keep up with all of these insane gaffes. I think my like darkest moment was like a darkest favorite moment was the Bible like moment. Like I just thought that was so the like the grotesqueness of it was like you couldn't take your eyes away. Like it was a car crash. Like you just couldn't believe this is what the presidency was. And then like I think the funny moment would have to be just like I would say the meme of him yelling at the kid mowing the lawn. It's just like timeless. I just kind of am like, you don't need any context. Like, that's why I love it. Like, you don't need to know anything. It's just so good. So anyways, that's kind of
20% of my Twitter feed is that.
I know that like, it's like, it's just so excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. We're got Richard. Let's see if I can get Richard on. Hi, Richard.
Hi. Hello.
How are you?
Scott.
You guys are not allowed to
Richard.
fight about Bruckner or Buckner.
We're not going to Bruckner or Buckner. Yeah. So,
no, I see I muted Ben. So
did you see how I got Bruckner into the?
I saw that. Yes.
Into the discussion of French Village.
Well,
though?
we got to start going after Rachmaninoff, though.
We agree on that.
Yeah.
Guys,
well,
like,
the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Different podcast. So, Richard, I liked your question. You had a bunch of questions, but and I do want you to ask. I think you should ask both of them.
I only had one question.
No, you didn't. You had two. Oh no, that was my oddest question. Sorry, you're right. You have like similar colored avatars, and I scrolled too fast. But go ahead and ask your question. That's a great one.
Well, yeah, Scott, I wanted to ask you this since you have your foot both in philosophy and in law. And my question, and this is something that's been a concern for a number of the academics in the chat who are in disciplines like history and so on. And well, I'm just curious, how has the legal academy been able to avoid the domination of the discipline by critics of liberal humanism that we see taking over other fields in the humanities?
So critics of liberal humanism, like, what do you mean? Like, can you give me like a example?
Yeah, I'm thinking about people like Hitler, Foucault, the whole end of the human thing, the belief that the norms of liberal democracy are spent and deserve to be jettisoned.
Right. So I would say that academia moves really slowly in a way. And like most of us are stuck, are like, encased in amber. And so it takes an enormous amount to like move things. And also like, you need a 2/3 vote to get onto the faculty. And so it's like there's not that big a there's not a big anti-democracy, anti-humanism contingency in the, we tend to be like, we're a bunch of technocrats, and we're a bunch of people who believe in democracy.
Can you define that for a second, though? Actually, like, I've never fully understood what technocrats mean, and I know that that's like maybe a dumb question, but like I feel like you use it in a bunch of different ways, and I'm never sure whether it's maligning someone or acquiescing to one's role, or like I can't quite get it.
Yeah, so I would say, so that's a great question. Like, what is a technocrat? And it definitely is a pejorative, but it's kind of like when I think of the technocrat, I think of Cass Sunstein, somebody who is trying to, just trying to work out the instrumental relationship between like some goal and like what kind of course of action to take. And they're not like really rethinking like the set of goals. So like they're not urging revolution. They're not trying to say we ought to have a different political foundation. They're trying to nudge you to get you to contribute to your 401k. Kind of small bore, kind of trying to. It's more like engineers rather than big thinkers. And so that's like what we do. We kind of, so much of what we do is like, well, how do shareholders maximize, how do corporate managers maximize shareholder value? It's not like many people are trying to think, well, maybe the corporation ought to serve the emancipatory potential of the working class. It's just not like that. We just go to work and we make our little moves, and it's much more in the humanities, which are much less technocratic, where that kind of big thing comes about. So that's what I would say. Inertia and lack of imagination.
I don't know, Richard. You're free to rebut that definition of technocrat. I didn't mean to butt into your question.
The person who should rebut that or take on that definition of technocrat is Petra, who has just edited a journal article.
It's been a minute since we've seen Petra
on technocracy and technocratic populism, and I think she would dispute Scott's definition, but I will let her speak for herself.
Okay.
I did find when you have a spare screen, I did find the Trump saying that Article 2 lets him do whatever he wants with the sense of wonder. So before we sign off, I just want to play that for everybody.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I can't because there's.
Because Richard. Oh, Richard, we have to make you go away. Sorry.
No problem.
Bye.
All right, hang on. This won't take a minute, and it will be worth your time. I promise.
I don't remember this at all, but I like your telling of it. I hope this lives up.
No, it's better in.
Okay.
Okay, can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, here it is.
Then I have an Article 2 where I have I don't even talk about that. It's a thing called Article 2. Article 2.
More importantly, Article 2 allows me to do whatever I want. Article 2 allowed me to fire him.
So it sounds
But
like
I wasn't going to fire. You know why? Because I watched Richard Nixon go around firing everybody, and that didn't work out too well. So very simply, Article 2 would allow me to do.
I could have done anything I wanted. I don't even bring it up because we don't even get there. Absolutely, I have Article 2. It gives me.
Oh my
Anyway.
God. Ben, you might be right. I think that is
Yeah, that is-
absolutely insane. That is like,
That's
you're
his-
right. It's like him like talking about like, I have single ply toilet paper. Like
At one point, he even says, I couldn't find this one. He has, I have an Article 2, as though it was like a car or something. But and there's one point where he says that it sits at the top of the bookshelf in the Oval Office, implying that it's like its own book or something. And he often says associated with it, but nobody talks about it. I don't talk about it. You know,
It's like,
I don't talk about it. He always talks about it.
you are right. That is like,
that is maybe you've convinced me now.
that is gold. I mean, that is actually lol sob, but gold. Yeah.
I'm really glad you shared it. It was actually worse than I imagined.
Yeah, it's genuinely bad.
Like so many things that the Trump
And I have this magic document which says, you know, which says I'm an all-powerful god, but we try not to talk about it.
I just forgot before we bring in Myotis to ask his question. I remembered Walter Schaub yesterday, Tony Kava's question to him about like fat shaming and everything else. I would love to, Ben, you and I are very against public policing and public policing of appearances. And I would love to have Walter back on, and maybe with Roxanne Gay or like my friend Amina, who is just wonderful and like kind of like lives as a Black woman in a large body and is literally was like dying of uterine cancer, and she couldn't get doctors to take her seriously because they kept telling her that she was like, that she just had to lose weight. And it's just like this incredible, terrible story. But like, I don't know. I think we should devote an episode to that.
I think that's a great idea. I think one of the most striking things about doing this every day for a year plus is the weird people who feel entitled to regulate other people's appearances. And funny, it's almost never mine.
Yeah.
I have like the basic principle, which is that like never comment on people's appearances, and also because aside from the fact that it's gross, it's also lazy comedy.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
I mean, like it's also just like
comedy.
it's like really bad. It's never gonna stand the test of time. It's like some straight up like Andrew Dice Clay shit.
Right. There's so many better reasons to make fun of people.
Yes.
Like Article 2.
Yes.
Like Article 2.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. It's so nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. Great question.
Yes, this question is for Ben. Ben, would you be willing to share the story of your audition for the Met?
Sure. I was in 4th or 5th grade, and one of my good friends that year was the son of the principal French horn player in the Met Orchestra. And by dint of the fact that his father was in the Met Orchestra, he had been able to audition for the Met Boys Chorus, which is of course, these are he was still a soprano then, and so there's this quite rarefied group of boys who sing soprano choral work for the Met. It's super hard, and of course you age out of it at puberty. When tragically your voice drops, so I thought this was the coolest thing in the world, and I asked him whether I could audition. And he said, I think so. And he asked his choral director, who said, sure, bring him in. And so my, fourth or fifth grade friend scored me an audition with the Met Boys Choir, which was a chorus of boys sopranos. Now, my voice was already dropping a little bit. And by the way, I am not nearly was never a good enough soprano to be in the Met Boys Choir. But the woman who ran the Met Boys Choir, who must have been exceedingly disappointed with this completely inadequate material she was brought, was very professional and asked me to sing for her. And I did, and I still remember it was one of the nicest rejections I've ever gotten, which was that my register was too low for the material that they were working with. But if over the next couple of years I worked on singing in a higher register, which at the time did not seem to me like a biological impossibility, but of course it was. It's a little bit like saying, come back in a couple of years when you're an orangutan. She was very nice, and she told me to work on my upper register, and maybe we could talk again in a different time. And so I went home and have. That is the closest I ever got to being on stage at the Met.
I love that. I just killed Ben's feed. Oh my God, I just kicked Ben off. Whoops. Ben, sorry, come back. Okay. Oh God, sorry.
Oh.
I fat fingered that. I X'd him and I meant to unfocus him. And I I'm like, that's such a lovely story. Delete.
This is like a coup. This is like we've seized control of the show.
I hate running the show. The other thing about running the show is it's very different than not running the show. Also, Chris Ardress, you've asked a bunch of really great questions, but I decided to peg the questions together in a different formula to go in a different direction for the amount of time we had left. So it wasn't that we didn't like your questions. It was just that I have to invite Ben back on. Jesus, I'm such a jerk. Hold on, where's Ben?
Richard just said Scott unconsciously canceled Ben.
Yeah. That's no, that was, he tells this touching story, and I was just about to say, this is so great. I love this. And then I ruined it. Anyways.
Well, basically you're doing to him what the Met person did to him.
Well, it was just his register was a little too low. Which is
right, yeah, exactly. So he had to be canceled. Sorry, Ben, but that is the culture. No one is immune from cancel culture.
Ben, are you there?
I'm here.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I was trying to unfocus you, and I accidentally hit the X button. Sorry.
It's okay. That. I know what happened. I heard the whole monologue.
Oh yeah, you were still there. I thought that I thought I banned you for a second, but I hadn't banned you. But that's a great story. This reminds me, Richard and Ben, you guys should maybe we should have Richard as a long form questioner of the day we get Word Stare, who is the conductor of the Rochester Philharmonic Orchestra, and a really good, an old childhood friend of mine, but who has similar stories of auditioning, going to Juilliard at 16 and then auditioning for, I think he became first chair in trombone at the Chicago Opera at 17 years old or something like that. And so, and now he's a conductor, because it turns out that that's a whole, I didn't even know this at the time. That is this whole thing is that it's conductor is the highest level of, but I want to talk about all of that. I don't know anything about this world. Did you know anything about this world, Scott?
No, I don't actually. And I would love to know, how does anybody pick the trombone? You know, like how do they pick their
I was just about to ask Ben this. I have a theory.
As a low brass player, I know the answer to that question.
Tell me, because I think I can tell you whether it's right.
So, I think low brass has people get into low brass in 2 or 3 different ways. Some people are just very into trombone is kind of its own world because it doesn't involve the 3-valve fingerings of nearly any other brass instrument. I think a lot of people who are into trombone started on trombone. But there's a movement between both between trombone and the euphonium, that sort of smaller tuba, which is basically a tuba.
This is the one that's typically white. Is it sometimes white or like made of something other than brass?
No, those are just marching band instruments. Band, low brass in general
that might
often be white. But the euphonium is kind of like it's kind of part trombone. It's played with a similar mouthpiece to the trombone, but it's also part. It's part of the trumpet to tuba family. But people tend to low brass is a personality type. I mean, you know, in somewhat the same way that like flutists are a personality type and clarinetists are, like low brass people are definitely like you show me somebody. They're often nerds. They're often, but you show me somebody who's like a high school band player and I'll pick you out the low brass people. The exceptions, but the path to it mostly is there are people who start out in tuba who move up the register. I think people who are into tuba it's the biggest instrument in the orchestra. It's low, it's unobtrusive, it's super important. And they're just they're a little bit like percussionists, I think. They're people who are really into being essential but not being out front, but it's also big.
I have to say, so I live right by Washington Square, and I go to Washington Square all the time, and they have a low brass band that plays regularly on Saturday, Sunday, and I watch them all the time, and I'm just fascinated. This is the most ignorant thing I could say. Is the tuba like the bass player of the? No.
No,
I was thinking the same thing, okay. Scott.
The tuba is like a bass player. The the trombone is not. The trombone is a virtuoso instrument.
Is it like a viola?
I think
like where the trumpet is like the violin.
I think of the trombonist as similar to in personality type to like baritone or tenor saxophonists. They're we have this evangelical black church that has a trombone choir that goes out and plays for donations, often in DuPont Circle. They are stunningly good. And when you front ground the tuba, so every year the Kennedy Center has what's called the Tuba Christmas, where hundreds of people show up with their tubas and they all play Christmas carols together.
How the fuck did I never know? Why was I never invited?
Why is not everyone talking about this?
No, I love the Tuba Christmas.
It sounds awesome.
But
this is the best thing I've ever heard.
But it's a gimmick. When you
I love a gimmick.
If you do trombones, it's not a gimmick, right? Like you can make the trombone, and so trombone personality types is totally different from the tuba euphonium personality type. Then there's let's not even get into trumpet people. Then there's French horn people, which is a completely different culture. Because
I want to hear all of this. I knew all of the people that in my that played French horn, and they were super creepy, and I just didn't. It wasn't you, Ben, but the other ones definitely. Some of the there was really earnest nerdy people, and then there was it
what
was.
do
and
you
then
play, Ben? I'm sorry.
Ben played French horn.
I was a French
Oh, he
horn
plays
player,
French horn.
but I was originally a trumpet player, and I kind of migrated over time to French horn.
Hey, Hillary. Sorry, we have to start wrapping. So I'm gonna. Hi, Hillary. Look at your little sign. Hope you're having a good Saturday. Good luck tomorrow for your sermon.
Thank you. Yes. I'm excited.
Yeah, tell us whatever you wanted to tell us.
Okay, so I'll make it quick because I know we're trying to wrap, but we've been talking about maybe getting some in-person in lieu of fun gatherings. So I'm willing to kick it off and plan the first one. And by plan, mean pick a time and a place, and anybody who wants to show up can show up and pay their own way. But I'm thinking of maybe having in the beautiful downtown Wilmington riverfront, there's a outdoor beer garden called Constitution Yards that has all kinds of fun outdoor games. You can get drinks, and there's music and food, and they have axe throwing, and it's in a cool part of Wilmington.
Scott's totally there for the axe throwing.
I was just going to say, you had me at axe throwing.
You had me at axe throwing. So Wilmington I know what you're thinking. Wow, I don't know if I can handle that kind of excitement. But there's a lot of great things in Wilmington, and it's fairly convenient for the Northeast region-ish. I mean, we're right off of I-95. You can get here by Amtrak. If you're hardcore, you can fly into Philly Airport.
And Joe Biden did it every day.
That's right. Joe Biden, and maybe he'll even show up. He's not going to. But I'm just thinking it'd be really fun. And then if other groups wanted to do other things in other regions, but I'm willing to kind of kick things off and be kind of the point person. If anybody wants to come to Wilmington to the outdoor beer garden and hang out, we just need to I'm not exactly sure how to coordinate this other than just, like I said, to pick a time and a date. I guess I would need help with like a time and a date. I'm thinking like maybe a weekend evening, like Friday or Saturday evening. I don't know.
And maybe, yeah.
I don't know what's fair for people, but throwing it out there to see if there's interest and how best to do it. So
great. I love that idea. I mean, I would love to come to something like that. I was thinking maybe in a couple months, once more people are fully vaccinated, it would probably be better. That sounds fantastic. I love the idea of doing it in Delaware. It's not that far a train ride for New York. You can do it in an hour or two. It's not that huge a deal. It stops in Delaware. And in order to organize it, I think that there has to be kind of more of a coalition around the Discord chat, which I am not a part of, and none of the co-hosts are a part of. But yeah, June or July, Hillary, sounds great. And maybe we could try to organize something like that going forward. It would be super fun. And you had Scott at axe throwing, so we can do this. Oh, Ben, you found me. This is so cool.
The Tuba Christmas is awesome.
This is so good.
It's so great.
I have to ask, do both of you as Jews ever feel excluded from Christmas music and some of it being exceptionally good? You hate it?
Am I allowed to swear? Am I allowed to swear on this show?
My God.
Fuck no.
Absolutely fucking not.
I will say I fucking hate Christmas music, and it really bums my family out. But I can't stand it. I think that's the one thing that I'm such a Scrooge about. I loathe it. And I believe that other people have the right to play it and listen to it, but please leave me out of it.
What do you think, Ben?
I think the Bach Christmas Oratorio and that the Messiah are magnificent,
That's not fair. No, come on. Let's go with the like your standard Christmas Carol type thing that gets.
But you know, I don't like the other music that's
Grandma
played in the
got
mall.
run.
In the mall anyway either. You're comparing it to is Christmas music that I am subjected to more horrible than the other music I'm subjected to? No. And I just tune it out just like I tune out all the other crap.
I will say, this is the only way in which I feel like assaulted as a Jewish person. I felt growing up, that was like, that was the one thing that made me feel other. It really almost the only way that, and I don't like
feel
this.
Better. John hates this shit, and he grew up Catholic. He won't listen to it. He can't.
I always try to go to Christmas performances of really good pieces of music, and there
are some really beautiful pieces, I have to say. But there is a weird taint of Christmasness to certain types of songs that they would be objectively beautiful if they were not Christmas music, but you are inextricably cognitively linking them to Christmas in your head. Like Adeste Fideles. That was a beautiful song, generally. And now it's
it doesn't have that effect on me. I
see, that's so interesting. I hear that song and all I can think of is Christmas. And immediately I cannot observe it. I cannot listen to it on its own merits. It is a Christmas song. Is it your same way for you, Scott?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, this is we celebrate Christmas. I go along. I'm a good sport about it. There's certain things about it that I like. I don't allow Christmas music to be played, but I don't mean Handel's Messiah and things like that. That's not what we're listening to. But
it's the jingles.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah.
We should wrap.
Yeah, we should wrap.
Yeah.
It is. Wait, hold on. How do we wrap again?
Before, can I just make one very small 10-second observation? Is that being a host here is a completely different experience, and I am genuinely really sad that it's over.
Oh.
Well,
it's not over. It's just the start.
Yeah, it's just beginning. Now we've got our claws into you, man.
It's fun. It's fun to talk about smart things with kind people for diverse audience base for an hour every day. And I think that it's kind of I'm
also
sure you have to. Yeah,
the last hazing ritual, you get to make fun of Kate for still not knowing how to close the show now.
Yeah. Except she's not going to.
I can't because
you're the new guy.
Well, not just because I'm the new guy, because Kate is she's she's just a lovely human being, and it's just.
Right, why don't you just show her up by closing the show properly?
Yeah.
Let's see if you can
do it perfectly, aren't you?
Well, I actually don't know how to do it.
See, it's harder. We'll be back 22 hours and
49
minutes from now. Exactly. And until then, Ben,
we don't have fun anymore. But we are allowed to have Scott Shapiro, and so are you.
Yay! Welcome, Scott. This was a really fun hour. It's so great to hang out with you. I'll see you guys tomorrow.